Welcome to another Good Dads podcast. This is another episode of Hot Topics, and I'm going to let you explain here momentarily, but we welcome in Dr. Leonard B. Horton III from the Missouri State University, and we're going to talk a little bit about you being a dad, obviously, because this is Good Dads.
Sure.
But remind us a little bit about Hot Topics, just in case we forgot.
Yeah, Good Dads, we're always trying to become better. It's really average dads trying to be good. So these are some of the...
He never wants to be too bright. No. This guy over here, he's like, I don't want to be too, I don't want to say good dad. I don't know if I ever know.
Well, speaking of that, first off, congratulations to you now.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
Had a brand new...
It was my pleasure.
Girl.
Oh, congratulations.
So
yeah. My wife did all the work. I didn't do anything.
Yeah, that's how it happened. So now you can see how behind you are as a father by listening to experts come in and talk. So you can.
That's why I like to listen.
Yep. Now, is this your first?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I have a stepdaughter, so
okay.
So I'm all ears when it comes to listening to other dads on these podcasts.
It's going to be a wonderful journey for you.
And there's probably the perfect.
Did I hear some sarcasm there?
No. I really do mean that. It's going to be a great journey. Having a girl, man, is to change your life, man.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the perfect topic to discuss what we're talking about today. So I think it's truly one of the most impactful things that's happening in anybody's life, especially kids and parents right now, is a hot topic on technology and screen time.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, that is a pretty hot topic. As you're enjoying some screen time right now.
Mm-hmm. I've got my notes here. I wanted to make sure I was prepared for you gentlemen today.
Yeah. Oh, you're always prepared. Well, Dr. Horton, can you please tell us a little bit about being a dad and your background here before we talk about our hot topic of technology today?
Well, sure. I am a former broadcast journalist, and I'm originally from Mobile, Alabama.
Okay.
Bottom of Alabama, near the Gulf Coast.
There you go.
And so, of course, went to school, got married straight out of undergrad, and I lived in Tallahassee, Florida for like 13 years. And I was on the air for about 7 of those years. And then right around 2009, during the housing market crash, probably remember that, a lot of people changed careers or pivoted in some direction. And so I left the news business and I went into higher ed. And so I've been teaching in higher ed since 2009 between Florida and here. I currently work at Missouri State University as an assistant professor of journalism.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And then tell us a little bit about you being a dad. We talk about good dads or average dads.
Sure. Well, whenever people ask me about being a parent, I always like to acknowledge we have a heavenly baby. So, for our first daughter, Ariel, who's now 15, she's a freshman here in Springfield, and I'll talk a bit more about her. But we had another child. Her name would have been Nina. She passed away in 2015, and that was something that was kind of it's a different experience if you've ever been through something like that. And so I always like to acknowledge Nina. But we currently have Ariel. Ariel is our daughter, who we're raising now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate it. And obviously, knowing a lot about broadcast journalism, a little bit about technology.
Oh, yeah.
And you might talk about that a couple days in your everyday life, in your week.
Yes. Yes.
Just a little bit.
Yes.
I guess we'll start with you since you introduced the hot topic. What is what is the basic rule? I mean, and I don't know. This is a genuine question just from me being a dad. Like we haven't even we're in the diaper and making sure the kid's not crying phase right now, and waking up a lot and zombie phase.
Yeah,
that's kind of survival mode, no sleep phase. So we haven't even touched on the technology, so I can't wait.
It'll be here for you now. It's within a year. You're going to be sitting there. Hey, do I give him something to watch, or do I pick up and play with this thing? So we're going to have to figure out. I mean, it's a real deal because our time. A lot of times we act too busy or frustrated, and it's so convenient to be able to put on a show and have a kid watch it. And you see it happen all the time. Anywhere you go in the grocery store, or no matter what you're doing, there's a kid that seems to be on a screen. And so trying to find how is it, what's your advice to dads when they're wrestling with this? How much is too much? When are they allowed to start? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, so I'm going to take off the expert hat for a second, and I'm going to put myself in your shoes.
Good.
Like you said, you're at the grocery store, or maybe you're home. Maybe mom is somewhere, and so you're watching the child by yourself, and maybe you don't feel like having to be there to, I guess, attend to their needs at the moment. So what do? You give them something to do. You give them something to occupy that time. You throw on a video, the Teletubbies, or whatever video it is. And what that does is it goes from 15 minutes and it turns into an hour. And I think that as, parents, we need to kind of gauge that. I don't think there's anything wrong with putting on, say, a movie or something like that, giving them some screen time, maybe I would say 30 minutes or so. But once you start, it turns into like an hour, and then 2 hours, and then 3 hours. And now you're just, kind of putting this thing on autopilot, and now you've moved on to something else, and they're okay. They're watching something, so
they're alive.
Yeah, they're alive. Yeah. Sometimes parenting, we try to be very hands off, but you really can't be hands off because, I'll share a story. Our daughter had an iPad when she was around, third grade or so, and we let her watch YouTube Kids, right? And because it's called YouTube Kids, we were thinking, okay, well, they probably just got some cartoons on there. Man, YouTube Kids can take you down some dark holes because it goes into like cartoon content, and then it goes into teenage content, and then it goes into other more crude content. And I remember I saw the iPad. I'm like, whoa, what is that you watching? So I had to grab it. And I had to apologize because, I know better, right? And so that was the moment that as a family, we realized that this relationship with technology was going to be something that we really needed to pay close attention to. Like, you can't just give a kid a device and tell them to figure it out. You got to be hands on with it.
This also, like, this is something that we can fall into. As adults. Like, I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm like, like, I can be on my phone or scrolling something, or even in like just the YouTube circle of this hourly hole where I'm just all of a sudden I've watched funny news bloopers for the last hour and a half, and I'm like, what have I done with my evening?
It'll catch it. One time, Chandler, when he was trying to talk to me, I've got boys that are 11 tomorrow, and then 12. Mm-hmm. Chandler was talking to me, and he asked me to listen. I said, I'm listening, and he goes, no, listen with your eyes. And it's like, it's like, oh my gosh. And so,
he knows you're zoning out on him.
Yeah, kids can sense this, and he was 7.
Okay.
And so as adults, because we're so addicted to it, it's right there at our fingertips. Yeah. That attention span that we have can go away, and so it really makes you think. I mean, listen, they're going to watch what we do, and they're going to repeat, and so it's something that you have to be careful for as parents. And so it starts young, and I think it's important to have a unified plan with your spouse to make sure, hey, let's monitor what they're watching. Let's monitor how much time they are, and really attack that together if you can. Otherwise, it's so addictive. I mean, we're addicted to our phones, mm-hmm. and we're addicted to that technology. Mm-hmm. You've got to set that pace early.
This Good Dads podcast is brought to you in part by our generous supporters. This week, we'd like to thank the following: Harry Cooper Joplin Supply, Lorenz Plumbing, Heating and Air, Flint Rock Home Builders, Han DeBuff Government Relations, Henry's Towing Service. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Visit our website at gooddads.com to learn how to contribute to the Good Dads mission.
So you brought up YouTube Kids. What are some of what are kind of the main platforms that you're seeing kids use right now?
Well, so of course that's we're in the context of smaller kids. Ariel's now a teenager, and I actually had this conversation with her. One thing that you're seeing now with teenagers are the messaging apps, and I've actually got a few here that we talked about, and I was kind of doing an interview with my daughter. One app that surprisingly that they're using a lot of is Reddit.
To message each other?
to talk to each other, to find out information. You know, Reddit kind of became popular during the what was it, like the stock meme stocks? Yep. You know, people went to Reddit to find out what the next meme stock was going to be, but they're using Reddit a lot for messaging. Discord is another one. A lot of kids are using Discord. There's one called OVO or Uvu. There's Threema. There's Airtime. There's Meet Me. There's Viber. There's WeChat. So there's several of them. And another thing that I don't want you to forget about too is a lot of kids game. And so they're messaging each other as they're gaming as well.
Yeah. Oh, they're talking to each other.
They're talking to each other as they're gaming.
Sure.
Yeah, and they're messaging. So whenever you have a culture like things that we're monitoring, kids are always going to create a subculture. There's always going to be a layer that you don't know about. You know, they'll go to Snapchat, and if everybody finds out about Snapchat, then they'll go to a different one. So there's always going to be some form of subculture communication that they're going to find to be able to network underground.
And I think it's important as dads that we have, hey, let me check your phone. Mm-hmm. Like, we've got to set that pace early. Let me look at it and double check to make sure that they are having edifying conversations that are appropriate. Mm-hmm. So we've got screen time, which is one thing. We've had screens for a while now with TV and movies, so there's always been that. Mm-hmm. But when we start talking about technology, the one that scares me the most, that I have the most concern with, is obviously social media. So I'm 41 years old. Mm-hmm. I'm not emotionally mature enough to have social media. I'm not. And I have LinkedIn account, and that's it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And you cut yourself off
100%. I knew it from the beginning. I can't handle all these stupid people. So
by the way, follow us on our socials. Yeah. Good dads.
So I can't handle, but what I can't handle also is comparison. Teddy Roosevelt says comparison is the thief of joy. Mm-hmm. And so when kids are being introduced to social media, that's scary because they're looking to see what everybody else has, what everybody else doesn't. They're picking up the behaviors. When I'm coaching, the kids are celebrating because of things that they've seen on social media. And so can you kind of describe, when you're teaching your classes, how are you seeing social media affect kids nowadays? What are some things that you're seeing that we kind of need to keep an eye out for as dads?
Well, first of all, I think we need to really understand what social media is. And I want to talk about it in the context of the algorithm. And so I wrote some notes here, what an algorithm is. So it says an algorithm, it determines how content is filtered, ranked, selected, and recommended to users. So I'm going to say that again. It determines how content is filtered, ranked, selected, and recommended. So in some ways, algorithms influence our choices and what we see on social media. So as a researcher, there's a whole process that I have to go through in order to do a research study with someone. I have to get what's called an IRB, where I have to make sure the research is ethical. I have to recruit subjects. I have to make sure that everybody knows that they can volunteer. They're not mandated to do anything. So that's kind of the proper ethical way. Whenever you use social media, you're actually being researched all the time. So it's like this ongoing research project that you're a part of, that you think that you're the one that's in control, but you're not. It's the folks that oversee the algorithm. They are the ones that are in control. That's why whenever you go to social media and you're looking at something, it gives you more of what you're wanting to look for, right? Even just keywords. Or if you spend too much time on a video, say 5 seconds, it'll send you another video just like that one, right? So you're asking what it does to kids. Oh man, it's devastating. It feeds into the fear. It feeds into the hope. If whatever your state is at that moment, if you're thinking about suicide and you type in suicide, guess what? A bunch of suicide videos. If you're into beauty and body image, it's going to keep pumping out body image videos. So it gives you whatever. So I think that for anyone, whether you're an adult or a young person, you really need to be sort of in tune with who you are before you enter into this world, because this world is a world that you don't have control of.
Very vulnerable.
Very vulnerable.
Going into that world. Is that the reason that I'm getting a lot of Jaws stuff on my...
Have you been thinking about...
I really like the movie Jaws from 1975, man. I just thought it's great acting, ahead of its time. And there's been a lot of Jaws memes popping up lately. And then like shark videos. I don't know. I didn't know why that was, but thank you for... now I know. For my own personal use. This is actually nice.
Whatever you search and for how long you search it, it's set up to feed that beast. Yeah.
Crazy. It's like Big Brother is watching us all.
Absolutely.
Right now. So
I think, another aspect that I want to bring up about social media or screen time is the bullying. Okay. That's a big thing. When kids used to be bullied, they had a home that they could go to and they didn't have to hear about it anymore. You had a safe space. It's not that way anymore. Yeah. No one likes to be left out. You can see, if you're left out, you can see where your friends are. You can see, hey, everybody's there. They're posting. Everybody's having a great time. And that's why you see the increase in suicides. And I hate to go dark on this, but that's what's happening. And so especially if you can kind of talk about the impact that this has had on girls and how that kind of differs from what's going on with males.
Oh yeah. So if you think about when you were in 5th grade, there was the lunch table and you wanted to sit with a certain group at the lunch table, right? Everybody had their group. Social media is kind of like that. Everybody, whether you're on this platform or that platform, they decide what they're going to talk about and what they like as a group and that kind of thing. And when you're not included in that group, you're really not included. If they, as a collective, decide that you're a part of the outclass or they want to bully you for whatever reason, it gets really bad. I mean, it's on multiple levels. So we'll just use a young lady, for example, say she was out with a guy one night and say, they were just maybe out being friendly. Maybe they went to a place to eat, but then that guy, he tells a lie and says that, it went further. Right. And then you get labeled, I use this word, a slut. You get labeled a slut. Yeah. And now you look on the social media and now you've got all these memes and you got photos of you that have been altered, garbage slut, late night slut, lunchtime slut. And it just builds and builds and builds and builds. And it's almost like, something that you just can't control it, and there's nobody to tell
or get away from.
You can't get away from it. Yeah.
Like before, obviously it can live in your head, but before it was like at school, like it would be like, oh man, I don't want to go to school because there's so much bullying going on there.
Yeah.
Well, it follows you home because it's on your phone.
It's so overwhelming.
In the middle of the night, you can see it. It comes up it's all the time.
Yeah. And you think about someone who's like 15, who is still trying to figure out who they are and their confidence and things like that's devastating for her. And so you can go on Google and many stories about people who've committed suicide because of that.
Yeah.
Some other examples, a lot of the challenges. So you talk about TikTok. There was one challenge called the fire truck challenge. Have you guys ever heard of that? No. Where basically you have a young man and he will put his hand on a girl's thigh. And basically the whole thing is, he says fire truck and he goes higher and higher. And basically, cause fire trucks can run red lights, and he basically tells the girl to say red light, but fire trucks can go through red lights. And so the hand just goes further and further up the thigh. Right.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. So all kinds of, another thing that young ladies go through, again, I mentioned this earlier, the manipulation of photos, where, it'll have them, photoshopped, whatever, and that goes out. And it just, again, just the shaming, just the, and it's devastating. It's devastating.
I think we've obviously decided to do away with all social media. So I'm glad we got that figured out.
Because we're the authority of that.
Yeah.
So with all of this being said, and I'll ask both of you, since you are the dads of, of older kids, how do you regulate that, or how do you support your kids through some of this? Because, as much as, we're talking about screen time limits and technology balance, as much as we talk about, hey, we want to protect you in a certain point, but then there's a certain point where I can be here to support you. How does that look, or how has there been any experiences for you, or have you heard about, and I'll ask you too, for boys and girls, really.
Did you want to start first?
Go ahead.
Well, so let's talk about this phone. It's earlier now, but I would say when my daughter got to be around 12, we started having the phone conversation because all their friends have a phone. And I'm thinking, there's no way I'm giving her a phone. Because it has everything on it that I don't want you to know about. So we did something. We got her what was called a GAB phone, GABB. And a GAB phone is set up to where there's no internet. There's like apps that you can download, but it's not like free range, right? And so whenever they search something, as a parent, you can get an alert, or like if they send a text message, it'll send you a message of what they saw, or they have like danger words. So if a word if it was a word that was connected to violence, or if it was a word that was connected to like sexuality or something, I would get an alert. It wouldn't block it, but it would send me an alert so I could have a conversation.
Sure.
Like, hey, I noticed that you were looking at such and such. And then as she got older, we got rid of the GAB phone and we replaced it with a BARC phone, B-A-R-K. It's a similar company, but it's more catered toward teenagers, BARC phone. And so as she's getting into junior year, sophomore, junior, older in high school, we're going to have the conversation about her getting a phone without all those things. But we're still going to have some type of regulation. So, Google Family is an option if you're still wanting to kind of monitor that, but it's not as restrictive as like the GAB phone or the BARC phone.
That's when the parent has to be strong, though, because they will try to sell you on.
Oh yeah,
hey, this is what I need. So and so has it.
We were just there. We were just at the phone place.
I don't want them to be left out. So here you go. So I've been open with my boys. There's a story, and it crushed me. There's a kid that sent pictures of himself he shouldn't, and somebody ended up getting a hold of it and saying, hey, send us money, or we're going to tell everybody about that.
Extortion,
the kid ended up killing himself.
Mm.
And so my boys are being 11, 12. I told them, I go, hey, just so you guys know, there's this kid, and he took a picture that he shouldn't have of something he shouldn't have, and sent it. As crazy as it is, yeah, people do it. And guys, he ended up killing himself. And I want you to understand. No matter what you do, mommy, daddy love you. You can always come to us, no matter what. And so I had that conversation with them because you're scared of something like that happening online, or them making one mistake and feeling it was having so much despair that they end up wanting to take their life, or they just have prolonged depression. And so I talked to him about that, and we've been transparent on the phone. Hey, let me see what it is that you're looking at. And they talk about, you have to talk about reality. Everybody is looking at the highlights of somebody else's life. Look at what this kid is doing on they got the YouTube channel and showing kids hold up, $100 bills, and we do the same thing as adults. We look at what other people have, look at their home, look at how happy they were on vacation, not realizing that, the dad had to absolutely lose it to get the kids to sit still for 5 seconds to take a picture and everybody act happy. And so just trying to talk to him about, hey, that's not real life. That's not real life. Yes, that's an end zone celebration when they scored a touchdown. That doesn't mean it's right. And you score a touchdown, you hand the ball to the ref, otherwise it'll make you run until you pass out. So
that'll teach him not doing that touchdown celebration.
There's so much coming at you as parents, things that they see. I wonder why some of the kids I coach act in a certain way or say what they, and they're all consuming all that information. And so you've got to communicate. We have to put our phone down and communicate with them. Hey, that's not reality. That's not reality. We were talking earlier, kids want to do these extravagant things for their birthdays.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're going to have a big pony parade in China. What? No. Are you kidding? You go to Chuck E. Cheese and you shut your mouth. No, okay. Happy birthday.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
It just constantly checking and communicating. We got to be transparent with them. We got to tell them the why behind things. Why can't I have this? Because Daddy says, well, no, hey, I'm doing this because I want good things going in your brain, and I want you to have, so it's kind of how we've dealt with it.
Yeah,
that's a good philosophy too. That's kind of, even as an adult, like you can get caught up in it, in not only necessarily what you're seeing, but the interaction, the comments that. And I always say this is what I always say: positive or negative. Yeah. I don't even know if they're real or not,
right?
Because I don't even know if these people are real. I don't know them.
Yeah,
I haven't met a lot of them, so I don't know if it's they're trying to lead me down a path of compliments and need something, or they're just trying to troll me and say negative things. I don't know who they are, and I don't know if it's real or not.
Yeah,
but we can still get caught up as humans, no matter what our age is.
Yeah. They have these places called troll farms where they get together. And so I've worked on a few campaigns. I've been kind of like the wizard behind the curtain, and I do like the social media for the campaigns. And every now and then you'll get what we would call a troll. And then when you look at their page, it's like one photo and like a few posts, and you realize that it's a bot, and so you have to be mindful of that a lot of stuff that you see is not real. And that kind of leads us into a conversation about deep fakes and AI, and so that's a new uncharted layer of technology that we're having to kind of wrestle with, that we still haven't. It's going to be a few years before we really.
Well, and probably it needs to be out there for a few years before they can technically put regulations on it. I mean, I'm sure as this stuff comes out, they're trying to figure out regulations as well. And then there's some things that I'm sure, as you see, that there's some ways around that too.
Yeah.
In the beginning.
You've been teaching as long as you have in higher ed. How has technology may have helped you in your classroom?
Oh, I mean, we just did a live newscast today. And so, we have to use media in order to convey our messages, whether you're a journalist or whether you're a filmmaker or working in public relations. I mean, even this is technology, this podcast. I mean, where you're able to speak to millions of people potentially. And so technology is a very important part of what we do in our field.
So let me bring this back to, because this is also about screen time. So I guess I'm going to kind of bring it back to the younger kids as being a dad, and maybe, since I have a 6-year-old stepdaughter and a 1-month-old, that will be kind of in this zone. So take the kind of the social media aspect out of it and just strictly screen time. And I know you mentioned it briefly before, is once you get to that hour or half hour, you gotta be a little careful. And when I talk about screen time, I'm talking mainly shows, and even if that's to TV screen, which is kind of old school when we talk about it. Like, it's just kind of like when kids are talking screens, a lot of them aren't using TVs anymore. Sure. It's either iPads or phones or anything. What do you guys think as far as just screen time in general? Not necessarily apps or social media, just basic screen time when it comes to shows. Is there something that you kind of is that time, or, some people have philosophies on, well, it's a total of 2 to 3 hours a day. Like, they can have 30 minutes here, they can have 30 minutes here. Like, how does that kind of look for kids, younger kids, I should say?
Yeah. So, my daughter, she's 15. And one thing that I learned is that it's about having a relationship with your child.
Yep.
You got to have a relationship with them. It's not about you being this helicopter parent and having to play detective and sneak into their room and look at their diary and look at this and that. You can have a better use of time if you figure out a way to have what we call family time. We used to call it dinner time, but we don't really do dinner anymore like we used to. So I know this is something that my family that we do every night, every Sunday night, right around 8:30. So Sunday nights at 8:30, I'll say, okay, guys, we're getting ready to do our family time. And so no TVs, no phones. We'll go to the couch. We have a sectional. And there are 4 questions that we go through. The first question is, what is one question you have for us? Right? So it could be about anything. It could be about me. It could be about something she saw on TV. It could be about maybe something that she saw somebody else do. So what is...
Are unicorns real?
Yeah, are unicorns real?
It could be anything.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, is the earth flat? And the second question is, what is one thing that you are thankful for? Okay, because what I'm trying to set the tone for the week ahead. Yeah. We use that Sunday night to kind of set the tone. And the third question is, what is one thing that you have learned about yourself this week? It could be maybe that I got frustrated because of something, or I learned that I'm more patient than I give myself credit for. And then the last question is, what is one goal you have for this week? Right. So yeah. So it's for me, I like that because it gives us a chance to come together away from everything. Because my wife and I, we're very busy people. And this is the one, and really, that's really what your kid really craves. They just want that. It doesn't have to be all the time, but just that moment. They just want that moment where it's just you all, because a lot of times what they're doing on their phone, they're trying to make connection. It's about connection. Yep. And if you can establish a connection within your household, if it's just one day a week where it's just, you block out everything else, that speaks. And then during those times, you can really find out what's going on, what's on their mind, and who they're talking to, who their new friends are, and who their boyfriend. You can find all those things out during that time as well.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
You're exactly right. I mean, you've got, and especially as dads, and I don't know what it's like to have a girl, but we're not as patient and as nurturing sometimes. And so I think planning ahead activities that you all have that you can do together, being mindful, not so much of focusing on the screen time, but focus on what we can do together that doesn't involve screens is going to put you in a better position, because that's what they want. They want our time. They want our focus. And as dads, it's tough sometimes. What are we going to do at the spur of the moment? So you've got some go-to 2, 3, 4 activities, tea time, playing catch, whatever it is, to have healthy time with you. You're going to be in a pretty good situation.
Very good. Is there any closing things that we missed from you fellas involving screen time or technology balance for your kids?
Well, so, as someone who works, I'm a photo person. I take photos. I edit those photos. I judge competitions. So I'm always on the computer. If you're doing something on the computer and your child comes up to you and say, "Hey, I want to tell you what I did in school today," you need to stop what you're doing, put that mouse over there, and say, "Yeah, tell me about your day." Right? So,
because you don't get that opportunity a lot, and sometimes you don't know when you're going to get it.
You don't know when you're going to get it. So that's a piece of advice I would give to the busy parents, the ones that are always typing, always putting reports together, always on that computer. When your child looks like they're trying to get your attention, you need to turn that computer or put it on mute it or whatever, and talk to them, right? Because like you say, you don't know. I mean, that's very special for them to want to get your opinion, or they want to show you a new dress. Or when my daughter, when she gets her hair done, every time she gets her hair done, she always comes to me. She wants me to give her what I think about it every time, right? And every time I say, "It looks nice, Ariel."
Oh no, you got to do more than that. You got to do more than that.
Yeah,
come on now.
So you gotta put what we're doing aside to make sure that we give them that undivided attention. Goes a long way.
Very good.
Yeah.
I'm going to send him on with me, put a shock collar on me every time I don't do what he's saying. That's gold, bud.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Leonard B. Horton III from Missouri State, thank you so much for being here with us today. And thank you, as always, Hot Topics, as we continue with our Good Dads podcast.